Good morning, children. I hope that everybody are staying fit at your home, right? So coming to the study materials, I guess that everybody is receiving those study materials in a proper sequence and you are keeping it separately in a folder for your future reference. And regarding the query, please let me know if you're having any problem with any of the chapters, any part of it. I will come back to you surely according to the requirements. Okay, so we'll start with our online lesson for today. In the previous lesson, we have learnt about the classification of the plant kingdom. So what did we learn? We learned that the plant kingdom, it is classified into two types, phanerograms and cryptogams. So we have studied about cryptograms. So cryptograms were the non-seeded plants which was consisting of Thallophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. We have studied this. So today we will start with the phanerograms, that is the seeded plants, and it is what? The gymnosperms and the angiosperms. Firstly, we will start with the gymnosperms. So these gymnosperms, what are they? They are mostly perennials, xerophytic, evergreen, arboreal and woody plants. Perennials means all through the year is present. The xerophytic means extreme desert conditions or dry conditions. Evergreen, all of you know what is that. And arboreal and woody plants means a tree-like pattern. So they grow as woody trees, bushy shrubs or rarely as climbers, for example the nettles, wherever the herbs or animals are not being present. Next, we'll move on to the external features. How does it look like? The plant body is sporophyte. Sporophyte means what? It is diploid in nature, that is 2N, and is differentiated into what? Root, stem and leaves. The plant possesses well-developed taproot system, and these taproots are sometimes symbiotically associated either with algae, for example the coralloid root of cycas, or with fungi, for example the mycorrhizal root of pinus. The stem in this organism is erect, aerial, solid, woody and branched, and in some cases such as in cycadales, it is unbranched in nature. Next is the leaves. They may be microphylous or megaphylous. Micro means small and mega means large. So they can be large as well as small in nature. Next, coming to the internal features or the anatomical features, these gymnosperms, they consist of the vascular tissues or the conducting tissues such as xylem and phloem, and they are required for the conduction of food and water. Next, coming to the process of reproduction. These gymnosperms, they are heterosporous in nature. Now, what does this word heterosporous means? Hetero means different and sporous is coming from the word spore. So, two different spores are present. One is microspore, another one is megaspore. So, two different types. Microspores are the small ones. Micro means small and mega means large, as I have mentioned. So, microspores are the small ones or are the male ones, and megaspores are the large ones or are the female ones. Firstly, the microspores, if we consider, they develop into what? They develop into male gametophytic generation, as I have mentioned. So these microspores, they are present within microsporangia. What is this microsporangia? This microsporangia is a sac-like structure which is present and within which the microspores are being present. And these microspores are ultimately forming a pollen grain which releases the male gamete. So coming to the megaspores ultimately forms a female gametophytic generation. So what happens? The megaspore mother cell, it undergoes meiotic division, that is haploid division, and it undergoes haploid division to form what? To form 4 megaspores. So out of this 4 megaspores, what happened? Only one becomes functional, right? And it ultimately forms the female gametophyte which bears the 2 or more archegonia of female sex organs. So what happens? The male gametes which were being formed, they are carried to this archegonia, and ultimately with the help of the pollen tube, the male gametes, they discharge their content near the mouth of the archegonia. So this particular process is referred to as siphonogamy. This is important, siphonogamy. So what is siphonogamy? The male gametes are releasing their contents through the pollen tube near the mouth of the archegonia. Now, as a result of this, what happens? The process of fertilization is being taking place. So, after the process of fertilization, what happens? The male and the female gametes, they form the zygote. The zygote, it develops into embryo and ovules into seeds. So, the seeds which were being formed, they are consisting of a specific tissue which is referred to as the endosperm. What is the function of this endosperm? This endosperm is a nutritive tissue which is providing nourishment for the growth to the seedling at the time of germination. Next, we will move on to another type of phanerogram, that is angiosperms. So what are these angiosperms? These angiosperms are the specific flowering plants which we can see in our surroundings. They have a colorful brightness and the flower of the flower has a specific fragrance also. Previously, we have studied about gymnosperms. These are obviously the seeded plants, but the seeds in this case of gymnosperms, they are the naked seeded. That means they are not enclosed. But in case of angiosperms, the seeds are very much enclosed. Right? So, if you want to classify these angiosperms, there are two major groups. What are those? Dicotyledons and monocotyledons. So, firstly, dicotyledons. From the name, we can consider di means two and cotyledons, right? So, two cotyledons are being present. So one by one we will see with the characters of this dicotyledonous plants. Firstly, the presence of taproots are in there in this dicotyledonous plants, and the leaves of these members, they exhibit reticulate venation. Now what is this reticulate venation? Reticulate means the leaves are having a network like pattern of venation. Next is the flowers, they are tetramerous or pentamerous. That means tetra means 4 and penta means 5. The vascular bundles are arranged in a ring numbering 2 to 6 and open with cambium. The cambium is present mean what? That means the secondary growth are being taking place in these plants. The rest part of the cambium and the details will start in the chapter Anatomy of Flowering Plants. Okay, so coming back to dicotyledons, the seeds of these dicotyledons are with two cotyledons as I have mentioned previously. So next the monocotyledons. Mono means what? One, and cotyledons again. So one cotyledon plant. So firstly, the characters, the adventitious roots are present. In case of dicotyledons, we have seen the taproot. So in this case, the adventitious roots are present. The leaves are simple with parallel venation. So here we have seen that in case of dicotyledons, it is a reticulate or a network like venation. Whereas in case of monocotyledons, the parallel venation is taking place. That means one by one the venation is taking place side by side. The flowers are trimerous, having 3 members in each floral hole. Here we have seen in dicotyledons, it is tetramerous or pentamerous. But in case of monocotyledons, it is trimerous. That means tri means 3, right? So 3 members are present. The vascular bundles are scattered in the ground tissue, many number, closed and without cambium. So in case of dicotyledons, we have seen that it is arranged in a ring, right? So here we are seeing it is scattered out and it is closed and without cambium. Whereas in case of dicotyledons, it is open and with cambium. So we can easily say in case of monocotyledons, the cambium is absent. As a result of that, the secondary growth is not taking place. Next is that the seeds of monocotyledons are with one cotyledon as the name indicates, which I have mentioned previously only. So next we'll move on to the life cycle of an angiosperm. So what happens as that of the male gametes, what happens? The pollen grain germinates on the stigma, forming a pollen tube that carries 2 male gametes to the embryo cell. So firstly, we all know that in a typical flower, 2 main parts are being, reproductive parts are being present. One is the androecium, another one is the gynoecium. Androecium is the male part and gynoecium is the female part. In case of androecium, what happens? It consists of the pollen grains, right? And within which the male gametes are being present. And in case of gynoecium, 3 main parts are present. What are those? The style, stigma and ovary. So what happens? The pollen grains, they are being from the male part, that is the androecium. So here you will see the pollen grain, it germinates on the stigma. So it comes on the stigma. Why? Because the stigma, it possesses a sticky fluid which is called the stigmatic fluid. And wherever it germinates in the stigma, what happens? A pollen tube is being formed through the style and it carries the male gametes to the embryo cell. So we'll see that life cycle once. Here if you see, firstly, see, this is a male gametophyte which is being present, the male part which is being present, that is the anther and the filament, right? So within this anther, the microsporangium is being present, right? And within the microsporangium, the microspores are being formed. From this microspore, the pollen grains are being formed and the male gametophyte is being formed. Within this male gametophyte, if you see specifically, the 2 male gametes are being formed over here. And this is the female part in which the stigma, style and ovary are present. right? So from here, if we consider the ovary, the megaspore mother cell, out of the 4 megaspores, only one becomes functional and it forms the female gametophyte over here. So at the topmost part, what happens? 3 antipodal cells are present. Over here, the middle one is the egg cell, the side ones are the synergies, and in the middle part of this female gametophyte, the polar nuclei are being present. So what happens whenever the male gametophyte is being formed along with the male gametes, it poses on the stigma, right? And it falls on the stigma with along with the stigmatic fluid, it forms a pollen tube through the style and reaches this ovary part. So it ultimately reaches over here, and the 2 male gametes which are being formed, this one male gamete fuses with the egg cell in this middle, and one male gamete fuses with the polar nuclei which is present in the center of this female gametophyte. The egg cell along with the male gamete, it forms the zygote, and the middle at the center part, the 2 polar nuclei along with one male gamete forms a triploid endosperm nucleus which provides nourishment to the growing tissue, that is the zygote. So the zygote which was being formed with the egg cell and the male gamete, it ultimately forms the embryo and the sporophytic plant body is being generated out. So this is how the life cycle of an angiosperm is being taking place. So I hope you have understood this life cycle of the angiosperm, right? So next we'll move on to another part, that is alternation of generation. So these plants, they have 2 types of generation. One is haploid, which is N, another one is diploid, which is 2N, and they can divide by mitosis. So this ability to alternate out between the haploid and the diploid generations one by one following a specific pattern of life cycle is referred to as alternation of generation. So we'll see the different plant life cycles. So 3 types of plant life cycles are present: haplontic life cycle, diplontic life cycle, and haplodiplontic life cycle. We'll see one by one. Firstly, the haplontic life cycle. From the name you can consider, in this one, the haploid phase is very much prominent, right? So here if you see the diagram, in case of haploid, suppose this one is a gametophytic generation, right? So gametophyte is always haploid in nature. So it undergoes gametogenesis. So here you can see this part which is being present is more predominant, right? Ultimately, after this gametogenesis, the syngamy or the fertilization is taking place. We have a zygote which is 2N, and again which is undergoing meiosis to form the spores which becomes N. So this N part or the haploid part is more predominant in case of haplontic life cycle. Coming to the next life cycle, that is diplontic. Again, from the name you can consider that diploid phase is more prominent. So in the diagram you can see the sporophytic plant body is 2N definitely. So it undergoes gametogenesis and undergoes meiosis, and here the haploid phase is being present. So this phase is only haploid in nature, which again undergoes formation of the zygote which becomes the 2N or the diploid in nature. So in this type of organisms, the diploid phase is much more prominent, and in this type of organisms the haploid phase is much more prominent. So we can easily say the haplontic life cycle, the haploid phase is prominent, and diplontic life cycle, the diploid phase is much more prominent. Lastly, the haplodiplontic. From the name you can consider the haploid and the diploid both are almost equal divisions, right? So if we consider 2 different plant bodies, one is gametophytic plant body, another one is sporophytic plant body. Firstly, the gametophytic plant body, it undergoes gametogenesis and ultimately forms the process of fertilization to form zygote. This zygote forms another type of plant body referred to as sporophytic plant body, right? So this sporophytic plant body will be within the diploid phase. So this 2N which undergoes meiosis and again forms the spores which is haploid in nature, which ultimately results in gametophytic plant body. So in the previous 2 diagrams, if we see that only one type of plant body the organisms were having. If they're having the gametophytic plant body, they're having the haplontic life cycle. Whereas some plants, if they're having the sporophytic plant body, they're having the diplontic life cycle. But in this case of organisms, what happened, they're having both sporophytic as well as gametophytic plant body, and as a result of this haplodiplontic life cycle is been taking place. We will see through the examples. In case of haplontic life cycle, it takes place in several algae such as Volvox, Spirogyra as well as Chlamydomonas. In case of diplontic life cycle, it is taking place particularly in Fucus. And in case of haplodiplontic life cycle, it is taking place in Ectocarpus and Polysiphonia, which is also an algae. So we have seen that 3 different plant life cycles are being taking place, right? What are those? Haplontic, diplontic and haplodiplontic. So hopefully you have understood about the details of this plant kingdom, right? So I will be attaching the question answers along with this. Please do copy it along with your classwork copies. Thank you so much.